Hey everybody, it's Dave. It's Wednesday morning, August 12th. A bit of an update on the D2 modeling, what we're kind of signaling. Uh, the other thing you'll notice is that I've actually reduced the number of systems that we're going to follow. So we're really just going to follow two models. We're going to follow a bullish model, which is on the right, and we're going to follow a bearish model, which is on the left. Clearly, you can see that over the past week or so, last time we did an update, the bull model was in this particular area right in here, and pardon me, sorry, moving our cursor around, was in this area right in here. So, pardon me, the bear model was in this area. So you can see that even though there's been lots of up and down, the systems have managed to claw out some gains. In this type of process, there's a fair amount of relative drawdown that you would find if you were versus, let's say, an intraday system. But this is a kind of system where you can kind of pick off and use this trade. So from the bigger picture perspective, it's also useful to know that if you're struggling on the long side and you're winning on the short side, that this is kind of that point where maybe you should be using this as a tool for what you want to do for your positions over the next couple of days or week or so. But from the actual live trading perspective, what we were able to do was work within the context of the one on the right. So we're going to be incubating these two models live over the next 4 months. We'll probably add one or two more by the end of the year. Just kind of get people for a flavor of what it is that we've been able to do. But in terms of this particular model, this is what we started with. So basically, this particular model flicked on in the $22,000 level, flicked off and just recently closed down around a couple bars ago, so about 300. So ended up losing $700 on a couple of trades, which is in the grand scheme of things not a particularly big issue. I don't know if we're going to see another point where this thing might flip and go into a negative position or go into a short. So the more selling that we see over the next day or two on this particular long, because we're going to be looking for a fairly sizable pop before we get out of it. And we could be in a situation, that where the market is sort of just at this point, or we're just looking to sort of build into something lower. But at this point, the system is basically flat, so there's no position on the short side. The bear system, which has done really well, and we kind of highlighted this system roughly in this area a few weeks ago when it turned from a running the system signals to inverting the system signals, is actually probably done pretty close to a couple $1,000. Looks pretty positive. It's generally, as you'll notice, it tends to be first in on the short side and tends to be last in on the long side. So we've had about 4 or 5 trades in a row between this. Looks pretty good. The system did stop out below yellow in this particular area in here, and so we left a little bit of money on the table if we're using the short-term gauge or guides for what we want to do. But I'm okay with that, simply because sometimes you can have that where you will give back some money at the top when you get the rotation over. But at this particular point, unless there's some kind of very sizable move to the upside, I don't envision that this is
Order filled.
anything. So you know what? Got a few trades running in the auto trader behind us. So anyway, my outlook going forward is that I think over the next few days we're probably going to get pretty choppy up and down. But I do have a feeling that we're probably going to see something that upticks on the long side. I think the market was feeling that way, and my concern, or my feeling is, it's not really concern, is that I think that the market's going to probably believe that with everything that's going on in China, that we're looking at the opportunity for the Fed to stay their interest rates in September. So, over the next month or so, it's probably going to be, a pretty rollicky up and down type market, not necessarily the type of August that usually occurs. I think you're going to see, some pretty big up and down. There's some major trend lines potentially coming into play. On the daily for those people that follow that kind of stuff. But at this particular point, I think that that we would be looking to sort of enter into the long side of the trade. This the system that's on the right is already into it, and you've got a fair amount of downside before this thing's actually going to flip into something short. So my guess is that sometime today we're going to probably pick a bit of a bottom, possibly tomorrow, and then we're going to see a little bit of a rally. So for short-term traders, this is a good point. This is sort of a point that I used for our portfolios to pick up our trades on the open this morning for SSOs and spiders and the Canadian market retirement stuff. So that's a much longer process, but sometimes it's good to sort of see some of these short-term timing models and see sort of how they work out. But anyway, so just as a recap, the currently flat on the bull side of the system. A bear side system seems to be working well. It's still a ways away from getting into a short trade, but you know what? If we do see a bit of an uptick in the market, that possibly could occur. But my guess is that I think we're looking at more downside today with a lot of chop up and downs. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, good luck. Good trading.